Sahana vavatu, Sahano bhunaktu, Sahaviryam karavavahai, Tejasvina vaditamastu, Ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om, may the Divine Being look over us lovingly as a mother and father. May the Divine Being support and nourish us as a mother and father. May we have the strength and skill to study together the art of spirituality. May no misunderstandings arise amongst us. Om, peace, 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 and beneficence be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. We're, of course, continuing our discussion, reading and discussion of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And there could hardly be a better workbook for the art of spirituality. There are other equally good ones, I should say, Narada's Bhakti Sutras, Vivekachudamani, and so on. But this is a surpassingly good text on the art of spirituality according to Raja Yoga. And this, of course, translation that we're, interpretation that we're reading and discussing is that of Swami Prabhavananda and Christopher Isherwood. So it's very, very good English and very good interpretation of the Sanskrit. Before we begin, is there anything that should be taken up from our prior sessions that remains unresolved in your minds? Anything we've discussed that you might want to bring up before we proceed? All right, dears. Haima very kindly is going to serve as our reader because Jeff is busy with Christmas concerts in Tallahassee, Florida. Bless his heart. He's part of the Unity Church there and their music director. So good on him for preparing lovely Christmas for those folks. So Haima, where are we?
We are on page 133 in the book, aphorism number 16, Brother Shankara.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead and start, Brother Shankara?
Please go right ahead.
Okay. Good morning and namaste, everybody. Aphorism number 16, the pain which is yet to come may be avoided. The pain which is yet to come may be avoided. There are three kinds of karma. The karma which has already been created and stored up so that it will bear fruit in some future life. The karma created in the past or in some previous life, which is bearing fruit at the present moment. And the karma which we are now in the process of creating by our thoughts and acts. I will read this one more time, Brother Shankara.
Please.
There are three kinds of karma. The karma which has already been created and stored up so that it will bear fruit in some future life. The karma created in the past or in some previous life, which is bearing fruit at the present moment. And the karma which we are now in the process of creating by our thoughts and acts. Of these, the already existing karmas are beyond our control. We can only wait until they have worked themselves out and accept their fruits with courage and patience.
Now let's just stop right there. Accept their fruits with courage and patience. This is very difficult sometimes.
It
There's
is.
no two ways about it. Just no two ways about it. Sometimes what is visited on us seems to be too much. We can take refuge in what Holy Mother said. Eventually, you will see that all suffering is a blessing. Why? Because it causes us to be mindful of the deeper aspects of life. If we were constantly happy and content, we might be granted, as it says in the Chandya, a mind still further pious, but we would not learn a great deal. So these karmas are a part of the gymnasium, and there is a certain amount of pain associated with becoming a greater and greater gymnast, so to speak. So any comments from your own wisdom or experience, or any concern or question that this raises for you, what has been said about karmas and how to deal with them?
I have a comment, Brother Shankara, that when we're going through the pain, it also makes us realize that we are not in control of anything in this universe.
Yes, you're
We
so
think
right.
we are in control. We think we are in control. We make all these plans and suddenly life changes 360 degrees around. Then we realize it is the divine who is in control. It is my karma, I'm doing it. It makes us realize I am not in control of anything, literally anything.
This is what Krishna tells us in the Gita, and it's what Patanjali is gesturing to here. Yes, indeed. It is, we have the illusion of being in control, and we do have the ability to control our attention.
Exactly.
And the Swami will get to this. What can we do about these things? So anything else from anyone? Thank you, Haima. You're absolutely right. All right, dears, please listen.
It is very interesting, Shankaraji. Actually, we don't even have any control on our physiological aspects.
No.
Exactly.
Karma. And actually, this is one of the, they compare this as the arrow. The prarabdha karma is the first arrow. And this is what the universe throw at us, the old age, the disease, the death, and all those things. And Swami also compares a second arrow. If the person gets hit with a second arrow, that is how you react it to that first arrow. And that is what we have to learn from reading all these things.
Thank you, Bala. You're absolutely right.
Very true.
This is why we study the art of spirituality, so that we can learn a more auspicious way of controlling our attention and therefore acting rather than reacting to what is presented to us. Acting in a more auspicious way than maybe our habits, our samskaras, will lead us to do. Thank you, Bala. Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankara, like Balaji said, that second arrow, if we can get through that second arrow with a bearing that pain and then with a good attitude, depending on divine, surrendering to divine, then our heart will gets purified. It gets purified slowly it gets purified. Then you realize, okay, this is meant to happen this way. I'm paying my prarabdha karma.
This is exactly what Holy Mother was gesturing to when she said, you'll see all suffering is a blessing. because it purifies you. It leads you to the ability to live in a more and more auspicious way.
It removes the toxins on our mirror, all the fog on the mirror. Then we can start seeing our consciousness better and better and better. That's what
Precisely.
happens. Yes. Thank you.
Well, the easy way to remember that, I mean, at least that's how I try to practice it, is remember Sri Ramakrishna. After the throat cancer, when Sharath Maharaj, when he was complaining to Sharath Maharaj, oh, I have pain and I'm not able to eat. Sharath Maharaj says, I just saw you within complete bliss. Then he says, oh, the rascal caught me.
Yes.
So that is what we have to learn. That is the second arrow we have to learn.
Thank you, Balaji.
Right. Exactly.
And that is a wonderful thing to hold in mind, is the master's behavior and his control of his attention, who of course was perfect during those last months of his life, from January of 1886 through August. It's a remarkable story, and it's told in the gospel in a series of conversations, some of which are with a Dr. Sarkar, that are very, very instructive indeed about just the things that we're talking about. So thank you, Bala. Oh, it's always good to bring up Sri Ramakrishna as an example. Anything else from anyone before we read on?
If I may add on to that, Shankara, as I recall, when Sri Ramakrishna was begged by some of his devotees to use some of his energy to heal the cancer, his response was, I've spent my whole life raising my mind. Why would I bring it down for that task? And I know I'm paraphrasing.
No, but that's you paraphrased very well. Yes, why would I do that? Why would I sacrifice samadhi or relief from this very temporary condition?
Container repair.
So very good, Amadas. Very good, very good. Anything else?
And it's definitely not easy going through that pain, such as loss of a house, loss of a spouse, leaving the country with a suitcase, leave all your belongings behind, run away from a country because of a war or something. This is not easy. It's hard.
Oh my God.
It is the most difficult thing in the world, but once they get through.
And of course, there are refugees experiencing just what you talked about just
right now.
All over the world.
Yes.
And what can we do?
Yes, exactly.
We should not concern ourselves over much in any personal way about this. What we should do is say, Lord, thy will be done. Have mercy on us. Have mercy on us. And pray for those people's welfare and make japam for them if you can. But
help them as much as we can.
Do not upset your own apple cart by thinking that there's something wrong. It's horrible, but it is nevertheless the fact of this world, particularly in this very dark, very, very troubled time of the end of the Kali Yuga and the beginning of the next Yuga. If we recall, Sri Ramakrishna's advent was said by himself, by Holy Mother, by Swami Vivekananda, and by Raja Maharaj, as well as others, Swami Saradananda, Sharat Maharaj. Sri Ramakrishna's advent was the dawn of the new age. But that doesn't mean the old age ends instantly. Holy Mother was asked during World War I, well, the Master came and has already gone, and yet this horrible war, it's so devastating a war is going on. And the mother said, yes, my child, you must understand that when a seed is planted, the husk must become rotten before the new shoot can emerge. And so that we're experiencing this rottenness. There's no two ways about it. We're seeing it in the horror of the end of this age. We're also seeing the beginning of the golden age, the new age, in so many wonderful advancements in learning and science and medicine and so on. But can we understand? No, it's beyond our understanding. So we simply try to accept it as best we can and sustain and comfort anyone that we can reach out to personally, and pray on behalf of those who we cannot reach out to personally, knowing that prayer, that there is no such thing as separateness. We are all one. And as the Swami Prabhupada pointed this out very strongly, do you think you are separate? No, you are not. So pray for those who suffer, and then hold yourself in such a way that you yourself are radiant. You yourself are radiant with the truth that you are becoming more and more capable of manifesting, which is the reason we study the art of spirituality, as Haima said earlier, the purification. The purer we become, the more clearly we reflect that which we truly are. And so that we don't have to think about the karma at all. We're talking about karma, we don't have to, when we just, that's what is, we rise above it. As Sri Ramakrishna said, why would I bring my mind down to that? As Amadas quoted to us, or paraphrased to us.
I just wanted to bring it. Actually, last Saturday, I went to a meeting. It is done by the, Seva International. And
Yes.
one lady who is a PhD student from Ukraine, and she also came to just spoke few words. And there are volunteers who are helping. Actually, they helped her mother, who is in Ukraine in war in place, to transported her out of the country. And there are quite a few, like this one, Seva International, is really doing a beautiful work.
Wonderful, wonderful. And anyone who has the leisure and the resources to volunteer to do this kind of thing, more power to you. As Vivekananda says, if you can lend a hand, by all means do. If you can be of any service, by all means serve. So if there's that capability, bless those people who are taking that opportunity. Bless them, bless them, bless them. Thank you, Paula, for bringing that up.
And they almost sent about, in the COVID time, they sent almost like 9,500 respirators.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Well, Seva International is a wonderful organization.
Yes.
There's no two ways about it. Thank you for going to that meeting and reporting back to us a little bit of what happened, Balaji. Anything else before we go forward? All right, dear, please read on.
Okay, I'm going to go back to that beginning. Of these, the already existing karmas are beyond our control. We can only wait until they have worked themselves out and accept their fruits with courage and patience. But the karma which we are now creating, the pain which is yet to come, can be avoided. Not by ceasing to act, that would be impossible, even if it were desirable, but by ceasing to desire the fruits of action for oneself. If we dedicate the fruits of action to God, we shall gradually, excuse me, we shall gradually unwind the wheel of karma and thus avoid its pain.
And this is the truth as expressed by Patanjali and of course by the Swami. And they are both looking to what Sri Krishna says in the Gita. Offer it all to me, which is where it belongs. Live sacramentally, offer your actions and their fruits to me, and then no karma accrues to you. Your Stardust spacesuit does not accrue the karma. There is no karma associated with the Atman, the core and truth of your being. But your Stardust spacesuit is where this karma is both created, it's the field of action, and experienced. Sri Krishna says, and the Swami is gesturing to this here, when you offer it all to me, the divine being, God, or Mother, if that's your Ishta, then you do not accrue, you do not gather to your Stardust spacesuit, your embodiment, that karma. So would you read that again, please?
Sure, I will read this 16 one more time, Brother Shankara. It's a small aphorism. I'll start from the beginning. Number 16, the pain which is yet to come may be avoided. There are three kinds of karma. The karma which has already been created and stored up so that it will bear fruit in some future life. The karma created in the past or in some previous life, which is bearing fruit at the present moment, and the karma which we are now in the process of creating by our thoughts and acts. Of these, the already existing karmas are beyond our control. We can only wait until they have worked themselves out and accept their fruits with courage and patience. But the karma which we are now creating, the pain which is yet to come, can be avoided. Not by ceasing to act, that would be impossible, even if it were desirable, but by ceasing to desire the fruits of action for oneself. If we dedicate the fruits of action to God, we shall gradually unwind the wheel of karma and thus avoid its pain.
All right, before we go on to 17, anything at all in addition to what's been said about these karmic aspects? Anything further that anyone would like to comment from their own wisdom or experience, or anything that you would like to raise as a concern or question?
So I was just looking for a clarification. It seems like there is three types of karma. The first two, and I think they have Sanskrit names like Sanchit and Prarabdha. And the third type that we are talking about is Kriyamana, which is happening right now. It seems like this aphorism is telling us that that third kind, we can do something about it.
Yes.
But the first two kind, we cannot do anything about it. My question is, the first two kinds, the prarabdha, which is happening in this life, I guess we can't do anything about it. But the part of Sanchit karma that's not working out in this life and is probably going to work out in the future life, can we do something about it, or is the sutras or Gita talk about it in any other way?
Let's talk about something more immediate. Holy Mother. Holy Mother said that in terms of those two first, Sanchit and Prarabdha, you can do something about those right now also. And that is if you purify yourself, if you actively work on self-purification, even those may be lessened. She says, destiny herself, these are Mother's words, destiny herself will strike from the book of record what is written there about you. Now, written there about you says gestures to the past, the Sanchit and Prarabdha. Destiny herself will strike from the book of record what is written there about you. And so one of her disciples asked his mother, does this mean that nothing will happen? She said, no, it doesn't mean that nothing will happen. But if you were to have a sword blow that would sever your leg, that will not happen. And so the disciple said, but then what will happen? And Mother said, you will receive a scratch. So we can do something, and believe me, if you want to know the details of this, go to the beginning of the talk that is recorded about Sri Chaitanya's prayer. The title of the talk is Chaitanya's Prayer, a Perfect Primer, or The Perfect Primer. And Holy Mother and the others, the other three of the four, are quoted extensively about the effects of our actions right now and purification. It's reflecting on how Sri Chaitanya starts his prayer. Chant the name of the Lord and his glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quenched that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within. Now, these are two of the greatest promises ever made in Scripture. I mean, there are echoes of them everywhere. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all else shall be added unto you by Christ, and so on. But just reflect on what Sri Chaitanya said. The mirror of the heart may be wiped clean. That is self-purification. And Mother says, when you do this, you become pure as a star, and destiny herself will strike from the book of record what is written there about you. So, yes, you can do something. You can do something, Bhaskar, about the present moment. And the more you do that, of course, the more you are doing what the Swami is gestured to here, spoken of so directly. I shouldn't say gestured to. He spoke of directly that you can avoid your future karmas, avoid accumulating further karmas to your stardust spacesuit, to your embodiment, by offering all your actions and their fruits to the divine being, which of course is part of the niyamas of Patanjali. It's the last of the niyamas. Offer everything, all your actions and their fruits, to the divine presence. Very good question, Bhaskar. Anything else from anyone?
I have a comment for one thing, Brother Shankara. The pain which is yet to come. Sometimes we imagine the pain, suffering. We start suffering without having the pain. We start scratching it, and then we imagine things and make ourselves worse.
Oh, yes.
I was going.
Oh, yes. There's nothing quite like our ability to dream up the fact. Well, Mark Twain, you can always count on Twain. Mark Twain said, "In my life, thousands of horrible things have occurred to me, most of which never happened." So he's just punning on the word occurred. In my life, thousands of horrible things have occurred to me, most of which never happened. We can definitely make matters worse for ourselves in this moment by projecting. And this is why the instruction, set aside the past, stop looking ahead. What you know already has already been said. No need to rehearse it.
That's right.
No
I'm
need
sure
to go over it and over it and over it. Our memories, which psychologists and psychiatrists have proven, our memories of the past themselves are flawed and are inflected by what we want to believe rather than the reality of what actually happened. And then, of course, what does this do? We project into the future, both good and bad things. Well, if you're doing that, if you find yourself doing that, just pause for a moment and say, "This too is thine, oh," and then address whatever your Ishtadevata is. All of this mental activity, all these are yours as well. And so you return. The rest of that verse is, "Don't pick up a cross too heavy to bear. Sing this for a while and hear what you hear." And that is chant a mantra and hear what you hear in that silence that develops as you chant the mantra. But don't pick up a cross that isn't yours to bear. Anything else from anyone?
Go ahead.
Vicky, we can't hear you, dear. Could you speak up a little?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Could realized guru also mitigate our prarabdha karma?
I'm sorry, could you say it again, Vicky? I lost part of that.
Yeah. Can't a qualified or realized guru also mitigate our prarabdha karma?
Yes, absolutely. Why? Because they turn us over. The qualified guru is qualified. Why? Because they have realized. And so being a realized soul, they are completely in touch with the divine. And so they can, by their wish, strongly influence the behavior of universe. So yes, they can mitigate. They give us the keys to the treasure box of the divine beings, the spiritual attainments of the incarnations. They give us that key. If we use it, that's what's meant by that verse. Chant this for a while and hear what you hear. The qualified guru gives you the keys to the treasure box of the spiritual attainments of the incarnations. And so those spiritual attainments, of course, transform everything. They make the impossible possible. They make the possible impossible. So yes, Vicky, absolutely, you're right. This is one of the reasons to have a guru. This is one of the reasons to pray for. It is the third of the graces. First, human birth. Second, mumukshutvam, the desire to be free, to be liberated, to be free of limitation. And the third, the qualified guru. Guru means what? Remover of darkness. Part of the darkness is our dark karma. they are able to remove that. It is both direct and indirect. It doesn't mean we'll never suffer. It doesn't, but we have no idea what would have been the suffering without the intervention of the guru, of the mantra, of ourselves, of this self-purification. Thank you, Vicky. Anything else? Any follow-up?
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, so we're satisfied we have a grasp of 16. All right, dear. Please read on.
Aphorism number 17. This pain is caused by false identification of the experiencer with the object of experience. It may be avoided.
So what is the experiencer and what is the object of experience? This the Swami will explain. This is what we must not identify, the body and the mind. We must not identify ourselves with the body and the mind. This pain is caused by false identification of the experiencer, the mind, with the object of experience, the body. It may be avoided. So please read on, dear.
Sure. The pain is caused by false identification of the experiencer with the object of experience. It may be avoided. The experiencer is the Atman, our real nature. The object of experience is the totality of the apparent world, including the mind and the senses. In reality,
the true experiencer is the Atman, of course.
Atman.
But it's the mind that we must avoid being identified with as the experience, as the experiencer of what the Atman is experiencing. It's reflected in the mind. That's what I meant. So please read that for the Swami, what the Swami said again, please.
Okay. The experiencer is the Atman, our real nature. The object of experience is the totality of the apparent world, including the mind and the senses. In reality, the Atman alone exists, one without a second, eternally free. But by the false identification through Maya, which is the mystery of our present predicament, the Atman is mistaken for the individual ego, subject to all the thought waves which arise and trouble the mind. That is why we imagine that we are unhappy or happy, angry or lustful. The Gita reminds us that this is not really the case. The illumined soul thinks always, I am doing nothing. No matter what he sees, hears, touches, smells, eats, this he knows always, I am not seeing, I am not hearing. It is the senses that see and hear and touch the things of the senses.
Now this is there's so much profundity in this book. That's what I meant by this. This book is about the art of spirituality. So any comments or questions about what the Swami just said? Where the experience really resides and what it is that happens when we identify ourselves as that experiencer.
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
I have a sort of, I guess, a Manana type comment. So the Atman is the only experiencer, but because of our identification with the individual mind and body, that experience is reflected in the mind, but in a limited way or incorrectly, because the the data gathered by the senses is limited and the interpretation by the mind is limited. So that's why I guess the more cloudy or the more attachment to the incorrect interpretation, then there is um, less of the perception. That's where I'm getting lost. Like, the truth.
We as the embodied being see inaccurately. Over and over, the teachers tell us that we see inaccurately. That's the source of our suffering. It's also the source of our pleasure. But even that, as Patanjali has pointed out, is a source of suffering. Because then we think, oh, I'm going to lose this, or I won't ever have it again, or whatever it is that was pleasurable. So it is this idea that I am doing anything at all. No, it is the gunas, it is Maya. They are, and the gunas and Maya are the instruments of the divine to bring all this about. Are we meant to see this as embodied beings and misunderstand? Holy Mother says yes. Holy Mother tells the story this way. The first time my son created, she says Brahma, she says God, but she means Brahma, her mind-born son. The first time God created the universe, he endowed human beings only with goodness, with sattva. And because sattva is the revealing power, they soon saw that this is a shadow show, that it has no reality, that it is a system of limitation. And so they said, oh, please, don't do it. Don't do this. Release us. And because their vision was clear and their prayer was sincere, they had to be released. And so the universe collapsed. So Brahma says to himself, this is not how to make them play the game. The game is the dream of Brahman, I am one, I shall become many. This is the thought in the cosmic mind that gives rise to Maya, or the great cause, Mahat. So Brahma said, this is not how to make them play the game, because this was the intention of universe, of the Atman, the Saguna Atman, the Atman with the gunas. There was this desire for experience. Why? Swami Sarvapriyananda says, just simply the answer is because it can. We'll never understand why. We'll never understand why there is this lila, this game, this play, this sport of the divine. So Brahma said, all right, this is not how to make them play the game. And the second time he created the universe, he endowed human beings not only with goodness, sattva, but with Mother's words now, Mother, Holy Mother's words, but with profuse quantities of materialism, tamas, and vanity, rajas, the concealing power and the projecting power. So this is why we see inaccurately, because our minds and our senses are confused quite deliberately by the presence of the concealing power and the projecting power. Does that make it clear?
Yes, and I do have a follow-up question. Using the other um, analogy or whatever of the wind chimes and the wind, so the guna striking against the samskaras and setting up
Yes.
vibrations.
Yes.
So when I guess to perceive correctly, the vibrations have to stop, or
No, they will never stop. They will not even stop after you're illumined. Shankaracharya points this out very clearly. No, you simply ignore them. You simply don't respond to them. The gunas brush against your samskaras, the gunas as the wind brush against your wind chimes, these samskaras, and they create a vibration. And as Vashishta says to Rama, just pay no attention to it. It's just a magic show. It's just a stage play. Pay no attention to it.
so at that point, who is ignoring the mind?
No, the Atman,
Us.
the witness. The witness is saying, oh, let me be unto myself. Let me be, as the Buddha put it, a lamp unto myself. I no longer I no longer wish to participate. I have seen clearly, because of the influence of sattva, I have seen clearly, because Saguna Atman, the witness, I mean, Sri Krishna is very explicit about this. The Saguna Atman has intentions. It isn't that it does anything, it simply has intentions. And so those intentions, having the power of universe, Maya, create activities and experiences. And Sri Krishna says the Saguna Atman, the witness consciousness of the Atman, experiences these experiences and thereby sanctions them. All is without exception sacred and holy. Everything is the will of the divine being. This is very hard for our left minds to accept. Only our hearts can understand. And this is why we must learn, as this book will go along to teach us, we must learn to practice prayer, contemplation, concentration, and meditation, turning within, turning away from the world of the senses and all of those things associated with the vibrations that you just mentioned. If we wish to be free, we must learn to turn away from them and simply ignore their attraction. And the aversion, there's both attraction, aversion, and all the other fetters, shame, pride of race, pride of caste, pride of family, all of these things, they're associated with rajas.
Thank you. I think that was clear, but just to make sure that I got the gist. So the Saguna Atman has intentions wherein it sanctions the experience, but as a spiritual aspirant, the goal is to not attach to the experiences. Is that sort of get it?
Well, this becomes the intention, this becomes the changed intention of the Saguna Atman, of the witness. Oh, enough of this. That is the second grace. The first is to be born as a human being with both the Saguna Atman, that little blue being the size of a thumb that lives in the lotus of the heart, as is said in the Upanishads, that little blue being that lives in the lotus of the heart, and all of its embodiment, all of its, everything that is produced by the prarabdha karma. So at some point, and that's the real point of Mother telling this story about how the universe was created 2 times. The real moral of the story is be like those first people. Be like those first beings that looked squarely at the thing and said, oh no, this is just a shadow show. This is just a system of limitations. I don't want any part of it. And because they were sincere and because their vision was clear, that had to be honored. And so the universe collapsed.
Thank you. That was a beautiful explanation. Thank you so much.
You bet, dear. Anything else from anyone? This is what it means to study together the art of spirituality. We are indeed both, as we sit here, all of us who appear here on the screen, such blessed individuals are we as to know that we are that. As Uddalaka says to his son Svetaketu in the Chandogya Upanishad, after explaining to him the nature of Brahman, he says, thou art that. Thou art the Atman, which has its 2 aspects. Its active aspect, Saguna Atman, or Shakti, or Maya, or Mahat, call it by all of those names. And then it's Nirguna Atman, Nirguna Brahman, absolutely beyond all. And this is the state to which we are yearning, to be free of limitation, free of limitation, free of limitation. In Patanjali's word, Kaivalya, independent, independent of all conditions and all limitations. Kaivalya. Now we can think about this, but we really can't know what it means in our minds. Our hearts know. If you want to understand what I mean by our hearts know, read Jill Bolte Taylor's book, My Stroke of Insight, and see what happens when she discovers that she is an entirely different personality coexisting with this left brain conditioned personality. There is this unlimited, unconditioned, fluid, unified being within her. Huh? I mean, it is one of the most beautiful modern explanations ever put down on paper that I've ever seen. There are many, many wonderful explanations, but hers is so succinct of what it is she finds when she loses her left brain capabilities, her left brain awareness through this massive hemorrhage, this stroke. And that is available to each and every one of us. Our path is not having a massive stroke. Our path is through prayer, contemplation, concentration, meditation, and, as was just said, offering everything of our mind and senses to the divine being. saying, here, it's yours. You did this. You created this. Did I create this universe and even my participation in it? Well, yes, as that Saguna Atman, you did. But you're finished with that now. So you can say, please, take all this. Free me, free me. Let me be Kaivalya, independent of all condition and all limitation. Anything else, dears? All right, we've got just a few.
Hari Om,
Yes, Hari
Shankaraji.
Om, dear.
I just, especially this is important. I try to practice this in a, like example, this is what the Gita says, the illumined soul thinks always, I am doing nothing. But I keep this in my mind, and I always think, because the Swami clearly said, Atman alone exists, one without a second. So any experience, both the experiencer and the object are nothing but one Atman. So they both are playing in your consciousness. This is all goes in my mind. So what ultimately I say, okay, my body is doing it. So this is how I try to practice.
Well, the Swami says your body is doing nothing. The Swami says your mind is doing nothing.
Well, the body is the matter. So
The body is the field of action. But it's not that your body is doing anything. It is caused to do some things by the influence of the gunas. But you are not doing anything. Your body is not doing anything. Your mind is...
Body is nothing but Maya, right?
Say it again.
Matter. It is nothing but matter. Matter has the three gunas, and those three gunas are doing it.
Yes.
Okay, so
the three. So that
when
but if you think at all body, then you're inviting your attention to identify with the body, and it's better not to do that.
No, but in every experience, what I think is, it is the body which is nothing but Maya, and the gunas, they are doing, I am separate from them.
The gunas are Maya also. The gunas are
Yes.
the very instrument of Maya.
Yes, that is true. That is why at least that gives me the peace of mind. Of course, if you go at a higher level, nothing is happening. It is all Brahman. Actually, if you look at any experience, both the experiencer and the object of experience, they both are unreal. It is only the reality there is Atman.
Yes. So this is what is meant by when the Swami says, I am doing nothing.
Yeah.
The gunas are doing everything. And it is simply this influence of gunas on the if you study the Sankhya in which Patanjali's teachings are based, you will see that everything, it starts with Mahat, it then Buddhi, then Ahamkara. Now, these are completely beyond all understanding. There is only one Buddhi, there is only one Ahamkara. Everything else then is the creation. That completely natural force doing it because it can, then creates the gunas. And the gunas create all the rest. The mind, the senses, the objects of the senses, both subtle and gross. And now we have the play. Now we have, but the only reality is Mahat, Buddhi, and Ahamkara. The Trinity. Now we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And so we now have this play of the gunas, which in Vedanta is called Maya, and in Sankhya is called the 21 cosmic principles. It is their play. They're doing it all for their own purposes, their own intentions, as Krishna says in the Gita. And Vivekananda tells us, Sri Ramakrishna tells us, Jesus tells us, you're not going to understand. Stop reasoning about it. Just behave the best way you can. Does that make sense, Balakrishna?
Yes, yes.
Very good. All right. Anything else from anyone?
Brother Shankara,
Yes, dear.
for me, today's takeaway message has been this, and that's why I want to repeat it one more time so it gets into my deeper understanding that the Saguna Atman has intentions which then permit the experiences. And so as
Not
the
just permit, create
creates
through its instrumentality, the gunas.
gunas.
Create.
Okay. And so as a spiritual aspirant, the goal is to turn the intention inwards towards freedom rather than outwards for more experiences. Does that get?
Absolutely. And it is that too is the intention of the Atman. This is the second grace. This is the second grace. That the Atman, this is another way of saying the second grace, is the yearning for freedom, the yearning for kaivalya, no condition, no limitation. It is the Atman that has changed its intentions, not you. Your mind is reflecting that change of intention. And so it does what? It yearns for a qualified teacher. Oh, I have been lost in my intentions of doing this because I can. Now I don't want to anymore, says the Saguna Atman. And so the Saguna Atman's intentions have now changed from wanting to continue to play in mother's play and say, all right, I want to be free. And so the third grace is the grace of a qualified teacher, a guru, a remover of darkness. And so then the guru, having given you the keys to the treasure box, becomes your good shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, says David in the 23rd Psalm. And so this then becomes our focus. The spiritual aspirant is an expression of the Saguna Atman, just like all the rest of it was. The Saguna Atman, embodied as it is now, the embodiment becomes a spiritual aspirant. And is it a struggle to remain that and not yield to all of this karma that's been all of these samskaras, all of this sanchita and prarabdha karma, yield to its blandishments, its habits that it's been created? And you can't, when you ignore it, you can't say it is, as Sri Krishna says in the Gita, when you begin to be aware or that's the gunas doing everything, you mustn't hate the gunas. You mustn't say bad gunas for doing this. No, you can't say that to your mind. All you'll get is pushback. You just say, well, okay, this is what you did, that you did the best you could. You've been doing the best you could all along. But now the intention has changed, and we're no longer going to cooperate with that system of competency and coping that you created. And so I am renouncing that. I'm not saying bad and wrong. I'm not saying everything. And this is what the illumined soul says. Swami Prabhupada was very clear about this. When you look back from your pinnacle of illumination, when you return to embodiment and you look back, you are grateful for everything that ever happened to you. Why? Because all that working out in the gymnasium of Maya brought you to the point where you would become illumined. And you're grateful. You're actually joyful about it. You actually celebrate it.
Thank you, Brother Shankara.
And it is the Atman reveling in itself, the Swami said. It is the Atman reveling in itself because it can. Anything else from anyone? This is so productive. This is what allows us to really understand these things, is chewing on them together like this, so that we really assimilate them. So we'll start with 17 again next week, dear. Let's see, next week.
Good, Brother Shankara. We will.
Today is the 10th, so the 17th. There's no reason we shouldn't have a class on the 17th. A reminder, we will, on the 18th, celebrate Holy Mother's birthday. Her birthday actually falls on the 15th, according to the lunar calendar this month. But the Sunday being the closest day, Aditya is not available to do a tantric puja for us. So we're just going to do a simple worship of the Holy Mother, modeled on her own, or on the way that she used to worship the Master, which was emphatically not tantric. It was very simple, very heartfelt, and very straightforward. And so that's the kind of worship we will do in the chapel next Sunday. That will be our first face-to-face gathering for those of you who are able to attend. Of course, you must be vaccinated and wear a mask and so on and so forth. But everyone is welcome to come to our first face-to-face meeting. And of course, after the worship, we will come into the monastery and share the prasad, keeping our distance from one another while we have the masks off to eat and so on. And we're preparing the fellowship hall in order to do that. So, anything else from anyone, dears?
Brother Shankara. Hey,
Yes, dear.
Vicky. I was just wondering, I didn't see an announcement in your emails about the passing of Pranab Lahiri, and I just wanted to make sure everybody knew.
Yes, there was some mention of it some time back here. Uh, uh, Tomorrow is his memorial service, actually. Uh, uh, because of what we're doing here, I can't attend, unfortunately, but we have Sunday morning talk. And Sunday morning talk, just so you'll be reminded, it relates to the Christian aspects of this time of year. It's a talk on Good King Wenceslas, that wonderful Christian hymn, Good King Wenceslas, but within the context of karma yoga. So it's Good King Wenceslas Karma Yogi. He was a great karma yogi, as is proven by what the page tells us about what happened when he saw a poor man gathering winter fuel on a freezing cold winter night. So that's what we'll talk about tomorrow. Thank you, Vicki, and we will make a point. Thank you for reminding. We'll make a point of collecting information about what happened at Pranab's memorial service and reporting that next week. But thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we have created a memento of Pranab Lahiri that is on a table here in the fellowship hall and will remain there. Pranab Lahiri, when this center was organized as a formal 501c3 nonprofit organization, Pranab Lahiri became the first treasurer of the new organization under the leadership of Swami Yogeshananda. And as the treasurer, his treasury was a cigar box. And the first donation that was made was in the form of a quarter, one quarter coin. And so on the table here in the fellowship hall, there is a cigar box with a quarter in it as a memento, as a way to remember Pranab Lahiri. And hanging just above that box from the ceiling of the fellowship hall, there's a very beautiful model airplane that was the creation of Tom Couch, who also recently passed away. And the reason that that is there is that it shows the great care with which Tom Couch, with which Tom Couch did things. If you look at the model airplane, you'll see how beautifully it is assembled and finished. And it just shows how he cared so much. It's just emblematic of how much he cared about this place on behalf of his guru and on behalf of Takuma. So we have mementos of those two people. And I'm trying to think how to memorialize John Kasich, who also one of the early assistants and carriers of the organization forward in the very early days when Yogeshananda wasn't able to be here all the time. So if anyone has a bright idea about what might be a good memorial for John Kasich, please let me know. Send me an email about it. We'll see what we can do. The others were easy thoughts. John's a little more difficult. Anything else from anyone? All right, dears, what a joy. This season of the holy days, may it bring every blessing to you and your family or your loved ones, whoever it is that you care about. May the holy days be uplifting and joyous. And we'll talk to you again soon. tomorrow morning, perhaps, during that talk on Good King Wenceslas. So we'll have all our classes next week, as near as I can tell. I can't think of any reason why we won't have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday class next week. And then the worship of Holy Mother, the joyous celebration of her birthday on the 18th. So, a flower at thy feet for each one who comes to thy open door. A flower at thy feet for each one who stands by your open door and says, come to me, offering to break this world's chain that binds us down to ignorance, suffering, and death. A flower at your feet for each one who takes the path that you have struck through this, your jungle world. Om Hari Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be unto us and to all beloved beings everywhere. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. Durga, Durga, Durga. May we be safe, may we be healthy, may we be cheerful, may we have peace of mind, and may we be always in the loving and protective embrace of the Divine Being as our Mother and Father. Any final thought from anyone? All right. Until next time.